Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to another video here with your boy Striker. We are going to be continuing our gameplay right now with Lost Relics, but I want to touch on quite a few topics, okay? I want to talk about a little bit about the state of Web3 gaming right now. We'll give you an update right now with the Coinbase delisting engine, and some of my general thoughts on some recent Twitter posts by Gabby, specifically of YGG. But first, before we do that, where are we at with Lost Relics? Okay, we're continuing doing our dungeon runs right now on the Transcendent map of Kraken, and I am hitting these Etherwoods left and right. Okay, you're going to see me hit one on this run for sure. But the general goal, I still need to get to Inverdin, so that's going to take quite a few more hours of gameplay. I think I got to do something like 50 or 60 dungeons before I get there, but we'll make it happen. Okay, that's that. Now, State of Web3 Gaming. One of the reasons that sparked my interest in doing this video was that I saw a Twitter post that hit perfectly with what I've been thinking for the past few weeks. Haven't mentioned this before, but just going back about 2 months, again, going into crypto plays, and this is the point in time where I got to say, none of this is investment, financial, tax, or legal advice. Take that with a grain of salt. This isn't for entertainment purposes only. But that being said, about 2 months ago, I had made the decision to go ahead and sell out of all my gaming fungible tokens. Okay, I decided to take some profits, get out of the game, and obviously meme coin season was starting up, so I made the transition then and there. Now, right now, I'm starting to look back about getting back into gaming within certain investments. Obviously, I still have my NFTs in various projects. I'm just talking about fungible tokens right now. I did sell quite a few NFTs as well, but haven't touched nothing with Lost Relics in this case. So I saw this post. That was already my mindset coming into it. And this is a post that happened about 4 or 5 days ago by Gabby from YGG. He posts online on X saying, "My take on the current state of Web3 gaming is that we're in the early consolidation phase and that the meta for the next 12 to 18 months will be the formation of a strong game publishing ecosystem that will be united by a single value accruing publisher token rather than having a token for each game. Not all games launching will have their own governance token, and they will instead bend the knee to the ecosystem tokens that are easier to understand from an investment perspective." Okay, I agree completely, 100%, but I think there's some really key notes. Those could have almost been my words exactly, except for a couple things. When we think about gaming tokens and the launch, first off, we have so many indie games that are coming out. You go look on CoinMarketCap, you're going to have pages and pages and pages of gaming tokens. And it's very difficult if you're going to actually have an investment class that are going to try to put in capital to help push these games to the next level or spark entrepreneurship inside these games, you got to make it easy for investors to be able to do that. And by having one single token, that's much easier for someone to come up and value and explain. The same way that someone would value Activision Blizzard and all of the titles it has underneath its umbrella versus what is World of Warcraft worth or what is Hearthstone worth or so on and so forth. Instead, they put all of these IPs come under one company, easier to understand based on that company's revenue and expenses. Okay. When I think about Web3 gaming right now and all of these indie games, pretty much I see two major key aspects here when it comes to their individual tokens. The first one's the easy one. Most of these tokens are just being used to spark investment at the very beginning of a project to be able to fund its development. Access to this system is something that all indie developers did not have before the invention of crypto. This, I think, is a very good way to be able to drive value into a specific project and give it the opportunity to succeed with time and effort by its developers. So I see that as a very key aspect. The issue really comes down to what happens after the fundraising. What's the point of the token? How do you value the token, right? And this is where we get to my other, on the extreme end, my idea about gaming tokens is that really the only companies, developing teams that are going to have tokens, in my opinion, in the future are going to be either the ecosystem plays that Gabby is speaking about or the major one-off hits. Okay, if we get something that goes viral, goes mainstream, something that has another Axie level event, I can see a perfect world, a game that is going to survive and continue forward. I can see a world where that specific game, or maybe the top 3 games or 5 games that make it to that level, are all going to want their own government's token to be able to develop their economy. But doing that from the ground level, when you're trying to raise funds to be able to fund a project in general, you can see how they're on the extreme different sides of the spectrum. So the balance is somewhere in the middle, which is what I think Gabby's bringing up, right? And it kind of plays into Lost Relics and Engine right now. This idea that Engine really is the one that's providing, I guess, the publishing services, you can say, really more of a technology play. They're building the tools that allow developers to be able to get NFTs into their game, via Unity or their APIs or whatnot. They're building those tools to be able to do distribution, just like obviously the big players in the space. The big 2 have to be Immutable X and Ronin. Like those 2 are on a tier of its own. Every other play, I would assume, is either going to be a tier below that or its own special type of case. So that is important. I think that's key. So this idea right now about Coinbase delisting Engine, you can see how it flows into it. It's really important because if games are going to unite underneath one specific publisher token, that token is going to need to have all of the liquidity that it can possibly get, and it's going to need to be out there for the investment public, for people to be able to find. Okay, we don't really have a reason. We don't know why Coinbase made the decision that they made. There are other exchanges inside the United States. Kraken specifically, that still allows Engine to be purchased and deposited directly to the Matrix, the Engine Matrix blockchain, right? So that still exists. That's not going to go away, in my opinion. But one of the things obviously Engine has been saying is they can't comment on it because of the legal ramifications. I get that completely, but without information, I have to come from the safe perspective. You just have to assume the reason why it was done was because it didn't meet their standards for regulatory purposes. And if I am going to assume that, the first thing that pops into my mind is that with the recent passing of legislation in the United States, one of the things that have passed the House, not the Senate, but the House, specifically talked and tried to define what decentralization means. This idea, like one of their big items was that that a token could not be owned by more than a 20% holder, could not have more than an owner could not have more than 20% of the token, and still be considered decentralized. And there's plenty of other items as well. But I have to play it safe and just assume, hey, the reason why they're doing this is because it wouldn't meet the current regulatory standard in the United States. If I'm an investor, that's a perspective I have to have. I'll give Engine their credit though. They do say that, hey, they can't talk about it, but there's reasons for why this is happening. A lot of players are speculating that, hey, they're removing the Engine ERC20 token because their Engine's done with it. They are likely to go ahead and add back the Engine specific token that's going to be on the Matrix chain. I believe that's right. The Matrix chain, is that Engine Matrix chain, blockchain? Okay. So that very much could happen. In my opinion, it's a flip of a coin right now, but playing it safe, that's the way I look at it. Okay. So that's key, right? Lost Relics obviously being one of the major titles underneath this umbrella of Engine. I would hope to see, if we are going into this future where right now there's going to be a consolidation, then I would hope that Engine starts to push forward its games more than its technology. Obviously, you need to do both. You can't do one without the other. And before, to be quite honest, when I was watching Engine's performance from 2020, 2021, I was looking at it and saying, hey, why aren't these guys pushing Lost Relics further? Like, look at the marketplace. Look at Engine X. Lost Relics was doing something like 200,000 Engine in monthly transactions at its peak for multiple months, okay? And I was just like, why isn't this happening? Now, I am seeing Lost Relics just posted on Twitter for the first time in a while. I, gotta like and share that. Engine went ahead and shared it, not only on their Discord, but on their Twitter account as well. So, we're starting to see, with respect to Lost Relics and Engine, I think we're starting to see this type of transition in terms of focus on the publishing side. We'll give them time to see how it plays out. But in terms of the overall state of Web3 gaming, you know, there's the other chains are doing this too. Okay, IMX had this was a couple years ago, but IMX had their program where they were trying to court developers to make the transition over by providing them funding with giving them grants. Arbitrum's the big one right now. I don't remember the number off the top of my head, but they just had a major gaming grant that is going to come out to help facilitate development on Arbitrum. And I think that's completely legitimate. Like, I don't know if there's going to be one ecosystem that's going to be the winner right now. Everything's up. Obviously, Ronin's in the lead because of how many individual players they have. But IMX has more gaming titles, so it's a hard one. It's a hard one. Let's go ahead and jump back into the rest of Gabby's post here. So what he says, when I find it, because of course. What that means is that there will be more publishing deals for good content that necessarily can't carry their own weight. Okay, not all games are VC investable deals, but a lot of them will be great for publishing deals. This one's a big one too, because one of the major thoughts I've been having in my head, obviously I'm a member of the Wolves DAO, so I've been doing, over this past couple years, even though I haven't been playing that much, I've been playing in terms of streaming. I have been doing quite a bit of research on all these different projects to help participate inside the Wolves DAO, provide value where I can. And this idea of many indie games are now going straight with the idea of trying to get VC type level investment from across the entire Web3 gaming space. The issue for the individual investor, like me as an individual, is that there's just too many games for you to be able to put an investment into. Because look, the gameplay with VCs is you need to be able to invest in 20, 30, 50 different projects, hoping that one of them hits and pays off the other 48, and then a second one hits and that one is your profit, right? So 2 hits out of 50. As an individual investor, that's you can't do that. You may want to do that, because I can feel that trend right now inside the Web3 gaming space. I can feel the trend of like people wanting to find the early project and invest in it and be there. I get that. But I just think that's a losing game. I think some people are going to get very lucky and hit big, but I think most won't succeed using that type of model. If you're not going to use that type of model, though, what type of model are you going to use? And that's where we get into the thing that I'm keeping my eye on, which is there are games right now. Lost Relics is you know, probably at the bottom of that list, but you know, for me, it's on that list. But there are other major gaming Web3 ecosystems that are ongoing projects that are playable right now and have ecosystems. These ecosystems are things like Big Time, like Gods Unchained, like Parallel. You know, and I can name a couple more. Obviously, Axie's still in it. There's a few more. Inside these ecosystems, Mir 4 is one. Inside these ecosystems, there are player bases that are attempting to generate enough revenue to keep their projects, their guilds going forward. What happened with the previous cycle is all of those guilds that were trying to do that went out and got investment in them, specifically things like YGG or what is it, the Black Gorilla Pool, or Merit Circle, and they were successful in that. But I don't know if that's going to happen again. What I'm interested in seeing is, are these little ecosystems of games and players within them going to be able to get a certain level of the player base to a point where they're actually able to generate income, even if it's at the smallest, just enough to survive at a small level. You know, that's what I'm interested in just taking a look at, but that takes some deep research. You need to be inside on the meta. You need to know the players. You need to have discussions with the guild. That's the stuff that intrigues me that I'm doing, but you know, like I said, it intrigues me, so I'm going down that path in terms of learning. In terms of everything else, you know, really, I think the only other major thing to be on the lookout for is a hit title that comes out of nowhere. You know, I think right now the big discussion on that topic is like the potential that a game like Off the Grid could have. And And that may be the case. It could also be the case where one of these games starts getting listed in places like, obviously, Epic and gets visibility, and then be able to grow from there. I wouldn't be surprised if over the course of this bull cycle, Steam reverses its position. But I'm rambling a little bit. The main point that I wanted to get across was the idea, the perspective on whether games will be quote unquote bending the knee to provide value to an overall token. And if that is the case, then we're going to be looking for games that are then coordinating with each other, collaborating with each other, whether that is within their own ecosystem or or like courting outside guilds like the YGGs of the world and the new ones that will be developed in this cycle. That's pretty much my thoughts right now, and it hits on a little bit of everything. Hits on Engine with Coinbase. It hits on indie games like Lost Relics. It hits on the state of Web3 gaming. I hope you all enjoyed it. Just wanted to give you a little bit of an info dump here, but that's pretty much going to wrap it up for me. If you're continuing on the journey, do me a favor, hit the sub button, give me a follow, send me a DM, reach out to me, let's talk. I'd love to have a conversation. And unfortunately, the quiver broke. That's my luck. I'll catch you all in the next video in that case. You all take care and peace out.